September 11th, 2001. A flawless blue sky over New York City. Millions of people were rushing to work, grabbing their morning coffee, completely unaware that the world as they knew it was about to end. At 8:46 a.m., a nightmare fell from the sky. In a matter of hours, 2,977 lives were lost. Two towering symbols of global power were reduced to dust. But this tragedy didn't start on that Tuesday morning. The seeds of this devastating attack were planted decades earlier in the shadows of the Cold War, hidden in classified files and born from a catastrophic failure of intelligence. Today, we uncover the complete timeline, the missed warnings, and the harrowing untold stories of the day the world stopped. Welcome to If You Brief. Let's go back to the beginning. To understand the horrors of 2001, we must travel back to 1979. The Soviet Union has invaded Afghanistan. In response, the United States begins secretly funding the Mujahideen, the Afghan rebel fighters. Among the wealthy foreigners who traveled to Afghanistan to join this fight was a young Saudi millionaire named Osama bin Laden. When the Soviets retreated in 1989, bin Laden didn't put down his weapons. Instead, he founded a new organization, Al-Qaeda, which translates to the base. His anger soon shifted from the Soviets to the United States, fueled by the American military presence in the Middle East following the Gulf War. Bin Laden viewed this presence as a direct insult to his faith and declared a holy war against America.
The first strike came in 1993. A massive truck bomb detonated in the underground parking garage of the North Tower of the World Trade Center. It killed 6 people and injured over 1,000, but it failed to bring the towers down. The mastermind behind the bombing later chillingly warned authorities that they would have succeeded if they had more explosives. But the U.S. intelligence apparatus saw this merely as a criminal act, not a declaration of war. It was a fatal miscalculation. The countdown had begun. By the late 1990s, Al-Qaeda's ambitions had grown. They bombed U.S. embassies in East Africa and attacked the USS Cole in Yemen. Intelligence agencies were scrambling, but the bureaucracy was blinded by its own complexity. The CIA and the FBI were not sharing information effectively. It was a culture of secrecy that would prove deadly. In the summer of 2001, the warning signs were everywhere. The system was, as one official later described it, blinking red. Intelligence chatter spiked. There were reports of suspicious foreign nationals enrolling in American flight schools, men who wanted to learn how to fly commercial jets in the air, but showed zero interest in learning how to take off or land. Despite daily briefings warning that bin Laden was determined to strike within the US, the dots were never connected. The threat was perceived as overseas. No one imagined that commercial airliners could be turned into guided missiles. The Hijackers, 19 men operating in 4 coordinated teams, slipped through the cracks of a vulnerable aviation security system. They boarded their flights on the morning of September 11, armed with nothing more than box cutters, mace, and a terrifying willingness to die.
Let us return to that morning. The clear blue sky. It is 7:59 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 departs from Boston, bound for Los Angeles. Over the next 43 minutes, 3 other cross-country flights take off. United Airlines Flight 175, American Airlines Flight 77, and United Airlines Flight 93. Because these flights are traveling coast to coast, they are heavily loaded with highly flammable jet fuel. At 8:14 a.m., the terror begins. Flight 11 is hijacked. The transponder, the device that transmits the plane's altitude and identity to ground control, is switched off. The plane drastically changes course, turning south toward New York City.
Air traffic control in Boston is plunged into confusion. They try frantically to raise the pilots. Nothing. Then, a chilling transmission accidentally broadcasted to the ground by lead hijacker Mohammed Atta. We have some planes. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We are returning to the airport. The controllers freeze. He didn't say plane. He said planes.
Panic begins to ripple through the Federal Aviation Administration. But the military chain of command is sluggish. Fighter jets are scrambled, but they don't know where to go. They are looking for a needle in a haystack, and time has already run out.
At 8:46 a.m., the unthinkable happens. Flight 11 slams into the North Tower of the World Trade Center between the 93rd and 99th floors.
Hundreds are killed instantly. Thousands more are trapped above the impact zone. At first, the world is stunned. News anchors report a bizarre, tragic aviation accident. Perhaps a small commuter plane lost its way in the glare of the morning sun. But as live television cameras lock onto the burning skyscraper, broadcasting the horror to millions around the globe, United Airlines Flight 175 appears in the frame.
At 9:03 a.m., the plane banks sharply and crashes directly into the South Tower.
What's the other jet doing? Holy fuck!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Jesus fucking Christ!
Don't touch it.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
A massive fireball erupts over the Manhattan skyline. The illusion of an accident vanishes instantly. America is under attack. Inside the towers, it is a scene of unimaginable horror and unparalleled bravery. Firefighters, police officers, and emergency responders rush into the burning buildings, climbing up the narrow stairwells, while thousands of terrified office workers scramble down. The heat is so intense, the desperation so absolute, that some of those trapped above the impact zones make the heartbreaking decision to jump rather than face the flames. But New York is not the only target. Down in Washington, D.C., the seat of American power is in the crosshairs. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashes into the western side of the Pentagon, the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense. The impact creates a devastating inferno, killing 125 people inside the building and all 64 people on board. The Capitol is evacuated. Rumors swirl of car bombs at the State Department and other hijacked planes heading for the White House. The nation is paralyzed by a cascading series of shocks. And then there is Flight 93. Flight 93 had been delayed on the tarmac, meaning by the time it was hijacked over Pennsylvania, the passengers were able to make phone calls to their loved ones. Through tears and panic, they learned the horrifying truth. Their plane was not going back to an airport. It was a weapon, likely headed for the U.S. Capitol building. Faced with certain death, the passengers and crew of Flight 93 make a choice that will echo through history. They decide to fight back. "Are you guys ready?" Passenger Todd Beamer is heard saying over an open phone line. "Let's roll." A desperate struggle ensues outside the cockpit door.
The hijackers, realizing they are losing control of the aircraft and will not reach their target, deliberately roll the plane upside down. At 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashes into an empty field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The passengers of Flight 93 sacrifice their own lives to save countless others in Washington. They are the first soldiers in a war they didn't know had started. Back in New York, the structural integrity of the Twin Towers is failing. The intense heat from the burning jet fuel is softening the massive steel trusses that hold the buildings up.
At 9:59 a.m., a deafening rumble tears through Lower Manhattan. The South Tower, struck only 56 minutes earlier, collapses in on itself. A tsunami of concrete, glass, and pulverized debris roars through the streets, engulfing everything and everyone in its path. 29 minutes later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower falls. The New York skyline, globally recognized for its towering ambition, is violently erased.
In its place stands Ground Zero, a smoldering, toxic mountain of twisted steel and grief. By noon, the skies over the United States are completely empty. Every commercial flight has been grounded. The military is on high alert. The world has stopped.
The aftermath of September 11th reshaped the modern era. The United States launched the War on Terror, invading Afghanistan to dismantle Al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban, a conflict that would last for 20 years. Airport security was revolutionized globally. The Patriot Act was passed, fundamentally altering the balance between national security and personal privacy. But beneath the geopolitical shifts, the wars, and the policy changes, remains the profound human toll. 2,977 empty chairs at dinner tables. Children who grew up only knowing their parents through photographs. The lingering health crises for the first responders who breathed in the toxic air of Ground Zero.
September 11th, 2001 showed humanity at its absolute worst, but also at its finest. It showed the depths of hatred, but also the peak of sacrifice. Firefighters running up the stairs, passengers rushing a cockpit, ordinary people holding on to each other in the darkest of times. History is not just about what happened, it is about what we carry forward. The dust has long settled, but the impact of that day continues to shape the world we live in. We remember the lost, we honor the brave, and we seek to understand the truth of the day the world stopped.